Hi there, welcome to Funding by Alex. My name is Alex, and today I would like to talk to you about the pitch deck showing traction. This is a continuation of the previous video on the topic. So if you want to check out the first part of the pitch deck, so basically the problem, the solution, and of course the market sizing, check out the other video. This is the continuation, like I mentioned. So just in case you missed it, a small recap. So previously we covered the problem, your solution to that problem, and of course the market size and the opportunity. So the opportunity that investors are funding you to capture. So when you build your pitch deck, you basically are continuing with the problem, the solution, and the market size and opportunity. The next thing would be this hypothesis. So how are you going to solve this problem with this solution? And what proof do you have that it works? So that's basically the traction. So when you build your pitch deck, you need to assume that the idea is the horse, and you as the founder or the founding team, you are the jockey. So the horse is about 10-20% of the entire equation, which investors look at. The jockey is 80-90%, because simple idea is that the horse, the idea, you can change, you can pivot, you can change the idea. The founding team needs to be lined up. So this is the founding team that has experience, that has the drive, that has basically a good chance to make anything into a success. So that means that the horse can be changed, the jockey cannot. So that is why horse and jockey, the jockey is the more important part. So normally investors also, venture capital, they are investing in people, not so much in the idea itself. They have a very good idea, but the people are not convincing. That can actually be a no. If you are having a not so good idea, but good people, then sometimes investors will basically help you pivot to the right idea, or still roll the dice and say, look, these guys will pivot to something. So this is something that, I think in practice comes to fruition. Of course, to have a good idea and a good team, that is the most ideal part to get funded. Then, like I mentioned, the hypothesis and then proving it works, that's the traction I was going to refer to. The traction is basically proving that your hypothesis works. So you have an idea, then you have the proof to make sure that investors are convinced that you can do it. So how do you show this traction? So this problem is that if you are not, let's say making revenue, you don't have any financial results to show, because the best proof, of course, to show something is working is massive results, massive income, massive revenues, basically to share with investors. But sometimes you are still reinvesting everything you make into pre-revenue, that you are just building users, that you don't have any revenue model yet. That is actually where pre-revenue metrics come into play. So that's the term for that. Now, the best way to show it in absence of revenues is to show the active users. So these are not users that are downloading your application or using your platform once for 5 seconds and then never again. Active users are people who are consistently, repeatedly use your platform or your product. So that is the monthly cycle. So every month they would have to basically use your platform, or every certain interval in which they use the platform, preferably daily, obviously, but depends a little bit on the application you're making. There's a lot of effort from also venture capital funds behind startups to move this up, because engagement with platforms is actually very, very important. You're looking at time spent by users on your product. So not only the frequency, but actually the length of time. So just to give an impression that Facebook initially did not have a very impressive user total, but the people who were using it were using it for a very long time. So there were hours and hours on Facebook checking out profiles and checking out others, basically on Facebook, or connecting to others. So the engagement on the platform was very much there. Now, that is something that is, of course, harder to do in 2025. But I mean, active users and time spent by users on your product are two very important metrics to keep in mind. Then, of course, you have customer acquisition costs. So what does it cost you to acquire a customer, then the lifetime value of the customer, so that is usually an estimate, and then of course cohort analysis, that you have the groups of users that are coming into your on your app. So let's say in January you have one group of users that is logging in after a certain campaign. They have downloaded your app and they are using your product. And there is in February there's another campaign that you're doing. Then that is maybe another cohort you are identifying. Cohorts don't have to be by month, but it is basically a group of users that you expect to measure against the same standards, and with users who would actually be at the same time or have the same journey towards adopting your product. Now, the thing is normally that the first users are the more enthusiastic ones, so to refer other users is also easier with this first cohort, the first group of users. After that, you have diminishing returns. So the idea is normally, I just have to invest in marketing and then these users will make other users. No, of course not, because your initial core group of users will be very enthusiastic about your application, maybe very, very enthusiastic users. And the users that are coming in through paid ads, that will already be a less enthusiastic group of people. So how enthusiastic, of course, is not measured. I cannot, from flick of the wrist, I can't measure that. But I mean, this is something that a lot of startups actually seem to fall into that trap, where they think the first cohort or the first 2-3 cohorts that they actually are measuring define also the rest of the cohort. So they will see that their customer acquisition cost might be very low or maybe zero or close to zero, basically, while from referrals, while later on they will have to really spend above the industry average in order to achieve the same level of growth. So sustainable growth is very, very difficult to keep up in that sense if you are depending on that. So the cohort analysis is a very important metric in that sense. So to see, okay, how are these? So do you put that necessarily in the pitch deck in a very big amount of detail? Have it ready, and of course, depending on how much you have, of course, in this case. But cohort analysis to have say, okay, this is something you can show people, that users are really enthusiastic about using your product, maybe refer other people, maybe the 1, 2, 3 cohorts actually, first three cohorts might be very, very, optimistic, and that could actually push an investor, over the finish line to actually invest in your company. And of course, finally, everything put together, it serves the purpose. So it's not just dishing out metrics and say, hey, there is a customer acquisition cost of $1, there is a lifetime value of $100 per users, and the cohort analysis is that the first cohort is actually referring people. So this stuff doesn't mean anything unless you can put it together to explain how you effectively disrupt the incumbents. So the incumbents meaning like the companies that are currently serving the market you're going after. This doesn't have to be like, a one-to-one competitor. So normally when you are talking about disrupting, or you are trying to create a solution to a problem, it means you try to serve the market better than the incumbents. So the incumbents would be something like a corporation. You would basically look at, how are you doing it differently? How are you more effective in acquiring these customers? What is wrong with what the incumbent is actually offering? So what is the imperfection there, and why is your offering more interesting to users? So in essence, this is the holy grail of traction. Like, what is actually the reason that people are going to choose your solution? And investors, in absence of anything tangible, so you have some fresh graduates that you hired, you are maybe someone with some experience in the industry, you are basically looking at various yeah, various metrics in this case to prove that, in absence of revenue, that you can actually do it. So we've come to the end of this video. It's a short one, but I would like to cut up the pitch deck in very short videos to make sure that we cover all of the bases, and you can just look back at which part of the pitch deck you are probably needing some help with. Again, I run a consultancy company. It's in Indonesia, so we have Petekayas Abadi Sejahtera, when Golden Dragon Capital is a brand of this company. If you need help raising funds, if you need help creating your pitch deck, if you need help with these metrics, happy to. Alex at goldendragoncapital.co. We are able to provide service. We connect to about 125,000 investors worldwide. 600 of those are warm contacts. Would really like to ask anyone who needs help to reach out to us. It's not like the clock will, or the meter will be running right away when you give us a call. We will assess how we can help you, whether we can help you, and look at your entire idea from A to Z, and try to help you raise funds. It's not only for startups. We also do M&A for established companies, obviously. So this is basically my YouTube channel to help people, mainly startups, to get a bit more information about fundraising, how it works, how to create a pitch deck. Helping people is one of the fun things I do in life. So it doesn't always have to have a price tag. But again, if you want to hire me for helping you and investing my time in it, please do give me a call, or send me an email. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next video, which will also be about the pitch deck. So I will cover the next round of the pitch deck.